nice to meet you all and yourself. Yes, to be honest, it's thanks to my friend. I was more of a vegetarian. I was always trying to eat healthy, and some time ago I met now a friend, a person called Carl, and we had a chat, and he started to talk to me, like, really good conversation and debate, my facts on the table, his facts on the table, and he started to ask me questions. Why do you think? Why do you think? Why would you eat or drink milk to start with? So I don't know. I think it's fine. It's okay, isn't it? And then he opened my eyes, and obviously put some facts, put some articles. I started to do my own research. He pointed me in the right direction, and I found out about how the dairy business is actually run. What happens to cows? What happens to even small male cows after the birth and so on, which was quite heartbreaking. And slowly over months, I started to look into it from a different angle, and until a point where I just lost a sense and a taste of anything, and I thought there's no point. It's just I thought I've got to do something, and it was just coming up, and there were a few more facts added to it about the meat and so on, and I thought, no, this is it. I'm just gonna go. From perspective of nutrition, I always was asking myself a question: how am I going to do it? That was dreading me, and I was pushing it back. But then I found a way, and it's been a few weeks. But I think for the time being, when I struggle, I've got either porridge with seeds or seeds with porridge, so it helps a lot, especially in the first few weeks. But I'm open for any recipes. Running the company with whole foods, it's helping, because we come up with different recipes. We look for things and we share them. So I think it's good, and that's how it started all.
Oh, incredible, and so early on in the journey, but so it feels like so well positioned. Being in the business that you're in. You talk about the seeds
Yeah.
and so on, and the honey, and we'll get onto that obviously. But it feels like you were sort of vegan adjacent for some time before making this switch.
Yeah, it was. It was in the books. I mean, it's mostly we were thinking, like, for years and years we were more on a vegetarian diet rather than just full omnivores. And so it was just ticking along. It's just I needed someone to actually convince me and show me the ropes, and that was just like, that was so quick, and happened within a couple of months, and then that's it. That was it, all done. I struggle. I have to admit, the stinky cheese is not my favorite, so I prefer porridge, and seeds are better. I found out that I prefer the oat milk rather than almond milk, because we can talk about it later. Almond milk is to do with bees and pollinating as well, so I've got a few facts for you as well. So I thought it needs time to find your own things, replacements, and so on. I'd rather cook something from scratch rather than buy at supermarkets, because first of all, I've got no time to go around and look at the labels at the back, what's in it. If you replace something, you can find a lot of chemicals, a lot of things which are unknown, really. Well, I found recently 2 enzymes in a strong white bread flour, and one of them could be derived from plants and animals, and that's quite surprising. And so you need to be aware what you're having, what you're eating, and always read ingredients. So I thought, right, let's start from scratch, and better to cook at home. Hence the porridge and seeds and porridge is, like plugging the gaps. But slowly we're getting there. I even posted today a really nice coconut flour chocolate bowls. So it's It's getting there. It's getting there.
So, well, and I love that approach. Like, I'm gonna go like more whole foods, plant based, rather than
Yeah.
sort of processed vegan. Pure, and I love the idea of purely because reading the labels is a hassle, and b there's this minefield out there. I had exactly this position recently where somebody said to me, it was about shampoo actually, but they were saying, "What's not vegan about this?" And they read through the ingredients, and it was one of those situations where there was an enzyme that could be derived from animals, could be derived from plants, depending on which way the company had gone. And without the sort of vegan certification to tell you, you're basically left with, I wouldn't risk
Yeah.
it, personally. But so I think it's a great approach. And if you're cooking whole foods, you know what you're getting, right?
Yeah. Also, you've mentioned the certification. Is a lot of you go to supermarkets and there's a lot of vegan friendly or vegan with funny name on the sign on it. I never trust this because anyone can call. Or flour, for example, flour like the one I've mentioned. Yeah, let's call it vegan. Why not? But you don't know if that enzyme which is in that flour has been derived from plants or animals. So how can you tell that that flour is vegan? Supposedly whole foods.
Yeah.
The whole flour, like let's say we've got quite a lot of flours registered with the Vegan Society for the purpose of that it's clean, it's clear, and you've got what it's actually in the bag. Without any infusion, added products or so on. As I always say, it's a grain, milled, and that's it. Put in the paper bag. That's it. That's us. And if you got that with the Vegan Society UK on it, that means that it's safe. And I'd rather buy the product which is certified by the body I respect than just some sort of a company selling in a supermarket telling me, oh, it's vegan, and then you don't know what you're eating. It's a lot of it's a minefield there. It's a minefield, but we're trying to talk to people. We're trying to educate. We're trying to help out, and we're always open for some comments. And people come in and asking, and we're chatting, and then I always learn something because talking's good. It's good to talk, like old the other.
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
Absolutely, especially in the vegan community. I think it's very good to talk. That's the way we sort of all educate
Yeah.
each other. Because, like you say, it's an absolute minefield.
Yeah.
It really is. It'd be good to get a little bit of background on the business. Where did it start?
As I've mentioned earlier, it's we were always in healthy eating, and my background is in health and care as well. So part of my life I spent not long part but short part as a personal trainer. So nutrition was a part of it, and then obviously I developed something else. But I was always into healthy eating, trying to find things which are now I can call them raw, whole foods. At that time, I just wanted something healthy. So when I became a nurse, everything was to do with evidence, research, and so on and so on. And that allowed me to find out a bit more and in a more sophisticated way about the products we eat on an everyday basis. So the interest was still there, but now I had access to the libraries, universities, libraries. So I started to look at what's actually good for your body, for certain things you want to achieve. And then, so if you want to lose weight, if you want to gain some muscle and things like that. And I always remember my grandma saying, just go back to basics, just eat simple, and just think about just raw whole foods. Like obviously she said that in different way, but that's what you're always cooking from scratch, and that's something. And it was always in the back of my mind. And going with that, we thought, okay, well, let's make a step forward and see what else we can do. I found few articles in preparing for at work, and simple things like brown lean seeds, I suddenly started to look at this whole foods differently. From before, it was just addition to your porridge or your some products you can use with yogurt and fruits. Suddenly, I started to look at this differently. So, as a source of fiber, as a source of proteins, vitamins, minerals, and so on and so on. And suddenly that just started to grow and grow. And I thought, why not? If we start educating people, the best education is if you talk and you sell the product, and then you actually give it to someone and say, look, start using this, mate, because it's good for you. And then I think 2 years later, we were sitting here talking about the business where we've got quite a range of natural raw seeds, different types of flowers, you name it, we've got it. And also the other thing was where talking about CO2, talking about also the goodness. We concentrate ourselves on the range of where we geographically are. So either UK, north of Europe, this part of the globe, because then it's more related to us, the products which we source, rather than getting almonds. People ask me, why you haven't got almond flour? And I says, look, this is we don't grow it here. We don't grow it anywhere around ourselves. Why would I ship that, mill it and sell it? It's just not it's not, not our way, I would say. So that's briefly how it started, and we still got, thanks, maybe not thanks, but because of the pandemic, we can't introduce new products, so we're just waiting for the business to pick up slightly better, and then we will be introducing more. It's quite a lot we've got in the pipeline, but slowly, hopefully we get there.
I'd love to talk a little bit about this nutritional benefit of seeds, because I'll be honest, pre-going vegan, I probably didn't. The idea of any seeds in my diet was probably not something I even contemplated, apart from if there was seeds that happened to be on a loaf of bread or something that I was eating as on top. But since going vegan, I've been very aware of whether it's chia seeds or pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, all these different seeds and their potential nutritional benefits. Is, from your experience, is that the sort of the typical kind of Western diet missing out on a lot of kind of micronutrients because of the lack of inclusion of these things in the sort of the standard?
That's good. That's a really good question, because talking to people, what I've noticed, and it's not a northern thing. We thought that maybe it's local, like Lancashire or northern part, not west, east. No, but I've travelled to a few places down south. London, Leighton Buzzard, this sort of areas, and speaking to people, and well, would I use seeds? What for? And I says, have you tried the seeds, for example, like maybe some fresh fruit, any type of yogurt, your preference, and maybe some seeds on top with a bit of honey or vegan honey? No, why would I have that? And I says, this is God's breakfast. This is packed with everything, and okay. And then 5 minutes later, they actually, I didn't know that. I didn't know that brown lean seeds or golden lean seeds are packed with proteins and so on. And I says, if you start calculating that, I showed them the 200 bag of our seeds, and I says, if you eat half of it, what was it? The pumpkin seeds we've got in 200-gram bag, and I says, look, if you munch on that for an hour, you will probably eat 100 grams. That's like you've just eaten a steak. It's equivalent of plant-based protein. I said, I can't believe it. And it's mathematics. It's common sense. It's just simplicity. And so people started, but it's really difficult when these types of products were not present in our diet for a long time. And people think seeds, you plant them and you grow something out of them. And I says, yes, but if you know that they're good for growing, think about it. Seed tiny little seeds got so much potential to grow the whole plant or a tree. And then suddenly people started thinking, oh yeah, well, you're right. Oh yeah, oh maybe it is good, So yes, and then you show them some nutritional information and you talk to them, you give them more information and slowly changing. It's a lot of talk, but it's good education. And having
100%.
having people coming back to us, and it's like we do in different charter markets, different stalls, events, and you got return customers and happy and says, look, I want to get that bag of seeds. It's, for me, it's like extension to my nursing career. It's something I've helped, I've tried to educate, and it's like, you just made my day. You've just come back. That's brilliant, and that's the beautiful part of that business, when the people coming back, they're happy and they want, yeah, you know what, I've learned something from you. This is why I'm doing it as well.
I love that. The nursing career hasn't really stopped.
No,
you've just
as I
moved
said,
it
it's
into a
like an
different
extension.
space.
It's I love that part. I don't, I'm still doing nursing shifts to support the business, but when I go out there, and I'm not wearing uniform, but it's still kind of yes, the help, the education, and we've had a few customers. I've recommended something, and I says, look, I'm not telling you this because I'm selling seeds, but I'm selling honey, I'm selling this or the other, or flowers. But at the end of the day, if you put them together, and I've given a few people some mixes and things, and some people say it works, some people didn't, but it depends. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a GP, I can't just assess. But if it helps you, that I'll be happy. And simple things like brown lean seeds. People didn't. A lot of people don't know that they've got two types of fiber. So that's good for you. Well, let's not go there.
Good for you.
Yeah, but we need to, as a whole nation. I think from all the European countries, we right at the bottom. If we're talking about consumption of fiber, so that's not good, and it's not good for your gut. It's not good for your health, immune system. Everything starts from the gut. So if you get that information to people and they start to understand why is it so important, then slightly you're changing the perspective.
Yeah, 100%. Love that. I'd love to get onto honey. So let's talk about honey. So the arguments for eating traditional bees honey, and then the kind of what is the product that you are offering as an alternative. Let's talk about that.
When we looked at honey, we thought, right, it's the natural raw honey. It's specially cold filtered. You can't deny certain types of honey, they got really good health benefits. So we thought, yeah, that's fine. But if we're looking at the vegan option, or there's nothing there. And there is a lot of vegan honey alternatives, but they got different flavors and so on and so on. And we thought there's nothing really close as to remind people of that honey. And it took us a while until we got to the point where we can actually present something. Then we've gone through certification with the Vegan Society, scrutinized our paperwork and everything. And we finally launched a product which I can show you. That's a litre jar. I couldn't find a smaller one. No bee vegan honey. So that was launched in July. Shortly after, one of our first events was in Newcastle under Lyme, a local vegan festival / event. So we went with our honeys, and it was, oh yeah, we'll see how it sells. There were two of us on the stall. I think we started at 10 o'clock, and we were doing tasting, because we thought, right, people will not believe it. There's a lot of products similar to that, vegan honey alternatives. There's a lot of, but we need to get people and start trying it. Jim, we didn't stop for 5 hours. honest to God, we didn't stop for 5 hours. That was tasting, purchasing. I mean, at the end of the day, we were thinking we should have had a camera installed in our gazebo. The people's faces we've seen and people's reaction to the tasting of it, it was unbelievable. We had a woman who started to cry, and we thought, "Oh my God, is it that bad?" Or and she says, "No, I haven't had that taste for 20 years." And I still got goosebumps when I talk about this, because someone who hasn't had a taste or scent of a honey for 20 years, she was actually in tears, and we're together with her. So it's moving, it's emotional, and it was a good day. We're coming there for Christmas market, but this time there's much bigger awareness of what we're selling. The product is picking up, but obviously we need some exposure. It's based on natural products, and it's exactly the same as natural honey, and that's what people ask what it is. So you got glucose and fructose in the same ratio as in natural honey. As we all know, honey is mix of glucose and fructose. We've added white flowers, normal meadow white flowers, satin flowers, floral scents and esters derived from that, and we needed to add citric acid, also natural. Otherwise, normally it just is being created in the hive over time, and a bit of a perfumery like to get it all put together, and then you got the result. So I'm very happy, and that it's working, and people coming back, and we start even have non-vegans buying it due to the fact that firstly it bakes well. So if you want a cheaper option than honey, so you can bake with it. It resembles the smell and the taste of a honey. Some people just decided, right, instead of buying expensive honey to put in on the porridge just for taste of it, I might just use this, and that resembles of honey, and then that's they like it. So slowly we're getting there.
I love this idea. When you read the ingredients list, everything is understandable. Everything's clear. Everything feels very natural. Was that incredibly important to you when you were setting out, going through this trial and error of getting the right flavour profile?
It's like, as I said, it's perfumery. People don't think like, you got 3 or 4 ingredients in this. But I said, yes, but it's a lot of work to make it all happen. And it's like someone asked me at one of the first events, and they said, can you have like this flavour or that flavour? And I'm thinking, look, otherwise I'll be defeating the object. There's no point of me doing honey which resembles of a lemon or has got orange flavour, because it wouldn't be honey. We were just focused on honey. Maybe in the future, we think about different scents and different tastes. But I think at the moment, what I've seen in this Newcastle on the lime, I think just go for the honey resembling products, because that's popular. That's what a lot of people from who are vegans, they lack that, and I think this is a good option. And also, it's nice to see bakeries asking, can we actually bake on that? It's a cheaper option as well. So, in the long term, we're saving bee population and sending them on holiday. So, why not?
Let's talk a little bit about the sort of the vegan arguments against your traditional kind of honey made by bees. What and for people who are new to veganism, often this is something something I get asked a lot by people who are brand new to veganism, is like, well, what's the problem with honey? So I'm going to ask that question to you as a man who's well in the field. And I'm asking it as devil's advocate, obviously, as somebody who runs a vegan podcast. I should know this, but what's the problem with honey, traditional honey?
Yeah, traditional honey. Let's start from the Vegan Society UK. Their view is no matter what, the the beekeeping is classed as exploitation of bees. And then on the other side, you've got arguments, oh, wait a second, but if I keep a beehive or 2 beehives in my extensive garden, right, on the back of a farm, why wouldn't be not, why would you say that it's exploitation? So, and I'm really, really gentle with the bees. I take just enough for myself and my family, and they just flourish and just fly around, and you know, they're happy. You know, you look at them, they're all happy. So that's one argument. Then you got something which we call commercial beekeeping, and that is total. And I would agree with that. That's total exploitation. I think we've mentioned earlier that whatever the honey is in the supermarkets, you can see it. It's not honey as a raw or cold filtered or not cold filtered. You don't know where it comes from. It's usually, no matter where it comes from, it's either blend of something or blend of different honeys coming from different parts of the world. I don't want to go into more politics, but mainly that's what it is. Commercial beekeeping will be always focused on profits, and that's where exploitation can occur. So yes, there are both arguments on both sides, so especially from the point of view of new vegans, they will be struggling. Or shall I not? One group says, oh, it's okay, and I've met a lot of vegans who will go for natural honey for the medical or purposes, but then. And then also there's a group of vegans who will say, "No, definitely not. I will not touch it." So you know, it's. I don't want to judge anyone, but it's your opinion. However, what we're trying to do, we're trying to educate people, and introducing products which are alongside of the natural honey. And totally discontinuing and not even going into commercial beekeeping and commercial honeys, but thinking about this small businesses or small hives, you know, small gardeners who have got local honey, and our no bee vegan honey, and actually you putting the spanner in the works. You giving people the option that now you can actually choose. You can choose something for the. You know, if we start that I hope for a few years, people will see, oh, wait a second, I've got the alternative, but I can always go to a local farmer and get something from local. And I hope that this will be ethically, if there is a way of calling it ethically, sourced honey. So we trying to be against the commercial big beekeeping, manufacturing, you know, the big companies, and hopefully we will achieve that by, you know, educating people and giving them the option. That's where we are with this debate. But there's a lot of examples I can give you, from one side of the fence and from the other, and we can debate forever and forever. But I think, you know, if we cut that debate and just let's look at the options. Because if people want to have honey, you won't stop them. But I think the problem lies somewhere else. We are not aware of why we're doing the beekeeping, and that's what we mentioned earlier. This is more to do with the environment and why we actually keep the bees in the first place. Because one of the arguments for beekeeping is, oh, we're helping the bees flourish, because we're keeping them and we look after them and so on and so on. And that's where we slightly divert from this debate, because from our point of view, the whole thing about beekeeping is not only about beekeeping, it's about the environmental issues. And that's where we wanted to give people options and educate, so we can actually talk about other things above that debate, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've had people talk about this before where they've said, like you say, there's that argument that says, well, actually, by me buying honey, what I'm doing is I'm perpetuating bee populations, actually, because there's more honeybees being kept, if you like, by honey manufacturers. But then I've had I've had many people within the vegan community who've sort of helped me along the learning journey, particularly at the beginning, who've said, well, actually, that's one species of bee, and there are a ton of wild bees that are actually being almost pushed out by this overpopulation of honeybees. And so there is no problem with the honeybee population. There is a problem with the wild bee population, which are these big pollinators and so on. And also, I think we were talking before we started recording, and I'd love to get your perspective on this one, around actually thinking about the bigger picture around pollination and what the other pollinators around and the landscape. It'd be great to get your perspective on that.
Yeah, like we said, I even talked to someone yesterday and says, "Oh yeah, we need to keep the bees because they pollinate us. So without bees, we will not have our potatoes and this and the other. So tomatoes, vegetables and so on." I says, "Yes, of course, but if you look at, like you said, honeybees." That's only a part of the whole, let's call them community of insects who are pollinators. And I mentioned that earlier. If you look at why the bee or insect population is dropping down massively from 1990s, is due to a few things, either industrialization, farming, fertilizing, and also cutting forests down, grazing grass, and so on and so on. So it's really, really complex subjects. And I don't know if you travel, but a lot of people listening to it, they travel around Europe, they travel around UK, and I hope a lot of people will agree that coming back from Europe and going through the Channel and then going into UK, yeah, of course we've got a lot of green areas, but they grazed. And then you have few farm animals there and there on the side of the motorway, but there's no forests, there's no wildflower meadows, there's no rewilded areas where insects and small animals can flourish. And I think this is the way where we should be looking at and changing the whole landscape to actually bring back the bigger numbers of pollinators, but also small animals and etc. And then I've mentioned to you the project in Oxfordshire with bringing back the red kite. That's been successful, and then suddenly that project just stopped and no one's doing anything else. So there's a lot of things we can do, and it's not only the honeybee. It's looking at the bigger picture. Just step back and just look at the bigger picture. Why, if we don't plant vegetables or grains or anything on the farmlands, why can't we just rewilder them? Just stop grazing it every year and then just rebuild it. That's what I would like to talk to farmers. But I think I'm not in a position to talk to farmers. I think government should. So let's.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it's a fascinating point. I remember, those sort of, childhood kind of train journeys through kind of UK countryside, and you look out the window, and I always, you always had this view growing up, when I wasn't kind of aware of the environmental aspects, wasn't vegan at the time, and so on and so forth. You're sort of told from a young age, this is beautiful green countryside, and now I look at it and I think, what was there? What was there before this big expanse of grazed grass and just a hedgerow? And you're absolutely right. What was probably there was a lush, diverse green forest land, which was teeming with life, and is probably now almost desertified. Really, it's just grass. And what must that be doing from a pollination point of view, from an environmental standpoint? CO2 levels, etc. It's I think you're absolutely right. We've got to look at the bigger picture here rather than just almost trying to buy our way out of environmental disaster. Well, if I buy more honey, it's somehow going to solve this problem. It's like, it's a much bigger picture than
But
that.
also, you've mentioned I spoke to a few beekeepers and they says, look, there's not a problem to have beehives anywhere, But then, if you really care about your bees and that population, and you try to, help the bees and provide for them, then you need to start thinking where you put your hives. Because if you put the hives and say, oh yeah, I've got brilliant farmland at the back, but then it doesn't help that the farm will be fertilized, because what's the point? You actually either have your lovely local honey full of fertilizers, not really healthy stuff, and then obviously the bees will not be happy because it's not good for their health. So there's more to it than just easy solutions. There's always someone said to me, "Oh yeah, it's fine, it's local, I can keep this," and so on. I says, do you know where your bees fly? Local gardens and things. And I was right, yeah, probably on that big roundabout in the centre of Manchester or Blackpool. If they take pollen from that roundabout, I don't want that honey. I'm sorry. Yeah, so it's you can't control the bees where they fly, and that's what I say to people sometimes. I know what's going into no bee vegan honey, right? Because I know, but you can't control the bees where they fly, and you don't know what they're going to bring. Same with the, it's a lot of things. I know that there's a lot of diseases and parasites with the bees, but if you really speak to beekeepers, they telling, and they even when I was researching and preparing myself to this, I've read a few blogs from a beekeepers, same debate, vegan, non-vegan, and even beekeepers are saying, look, this is not cheap hobby. So, and we've had examples, and we were told, and I've even seen the footages, that it's easier for some beekeepers. I'm not even talking about big companies, but some beekeepers will destroy the hive at the end of the season because it's cheaper to buy the new hive and new bees after winter. So, just take as much as you can of the honey, and then destroy the hive. What's the point?
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's purely kind of profit driven, really, isn't it? When you look at it.
Hence, on one side, the prices of honey are going up, but there's a lot of, like we've said, a lot of blends out there, and I don't know where it comes from. And if you read on the label, and we're coming back to labels again and ingredients, if you look at this and it's a blend of something and something and something, you need to start thinking, where is it actually coming from, and why would you blend it, right? I'd rather have something I know where it comes from, than just have something which is from unknown, I would say. So,
well, I mean, you're absolutely right. You make a really valid point. When you write blended on it, why are you writing blended on it? Is it because you can't specify where it's from? Could be from anything, anywhere.
Yeah, because
otherwise you would. Also, if you knew, you'd be proud of that.
Yeah, and ourselves as as a business, we need to be aware that every product comes with the data sheet. So you scrutinize by different bodies, different checks, the certifications and so on and so on. So we as a retail customers, when we go to supermarket, we can't ask for data sheets of these products in particular. We have no knowledge of what is actually in this product. We are only limited to that little label at the back with ingredients on it. And I spoke to many people. We were talking about honey. Bread is a prime example. Bread and flour, prime example. If you look at the ingredients in our normal everyday bread, white or brown, whatever, I've been noticing that, and for a few years now, taking pictures from time to time, how the ingredients in our daily bread are changing. Unbelievable, Gene. It's just unbelievable. To the point where I can not even read or pronounce the ingredients in our bread. A few years back, and that was a different types of ingredients. Now we've got totally different, and God knows what's going to be in a couple of years. I even said that a couple of weeks ago, that I wouldn't be surprised if someone gave us a pill and says, "Yeah, put it in a bowl, right? Put some water, and it will just grow." Because it will be so artificial that you can just have it on the plate in the form of a pill. It's just it's not on. Bread is, in my imagination and in my knowledge, it's supposed to be flour, and that's where good thing comes. You don't even have to have a yeast. We're trying to promote sourdough because it's a natural as it comes from medieval times. This was always the bread: water and flour and a bit of salt, and that's it. That's your bread. That's how it should be. So why would you put so many ingredients into it, flavorings and so on to make it nice and fluffy? The ingredients I've mentioned earlier, in a flour, the two enzymes, I found that they, one derived from either plants or animals, and another one derived from plants. I didn't know what they do until I researched that, and I found out that they, during the baking process, they're reducing fiber. So another phone calls to the bakeries, a few baker friends, and I says, "So why would you do that? Why would you reduce fiber? This is what we need." And he says, "Right." My friend says, as a baker, and he says, "Right, you're reducing fiber because fiber needs water. So in the baking process, you've got more fiber." Any baker can tell you that using more fibrous flours, you will have to put more water. So why would you do that on a mass scale, producing, let's say, millions and millions of bread? That's a huge, huge water bill, right? Yeah. And then once you're limiting the water, you're saving money, and that's what it is. And no one cares about your gut at the end of the day. No one cares what you're eating, how how your body's changing. And I found a link that since the changes were implemented in late 2008, just before 2010, 2007, 8, 9, the changes started to creep up on us until now. There's a lot of people and with either, as they call themselves, wheat intolerant or gluten intolerant, and so on and so on. Look, it's, the facts are there. Coeliac UK website, it can tell you that it's just creeping up. And there's a lot of people who don't even want to go to the doctors because they struggle every day not knowing what the problem is. But as soon as you start tweaking certain things, you realize that, oh, I'm less bloated. Oh, I dropped that. I've started to eat whole foods. Oh, I actually feel better. And, so there's a link in between. I'm not in a position to say one way or the other, because I haven't got access to labs to do certain tests, but I could put my head on the fact that it's all linked together. Because once people going on a whole foods diet, and stop eating certain processed foods, I feel better. I've lost a kilo already, just not doing anything, just changing the diet. And so that's within a couple of weeks. So that is working. Pandemic, when it started, and we started to bake bread at home because it was easy. Obviously, we had product access to different flours, and we thought, all right, let's test this, let's test this. Yeah. I've never baked bread before, but I've learned how to do it. Jim, honest, I've never been bloated since. So there's a link. But as soon as I go to the shop and buy a shop when I'm driving or something, and I buy a sandwich, God, I'm double in size. So there's a link. And it's not only me saying that, there's a lot of people coming and talking, and we're talking on the stalls or markets, and that's what they say. Yes, you're right. And it's just common sense, really. It's just common sense.
when you say it, it's a couple of things you said that really like resonated with me. One of them was, that, and it's so obvious when you think about it, but and I kind of knew it obviously on a subconscious level, but it's really interesting when someone just calls it out as
Yeah.
plainly as you just have. That these companies aren't really interested in your gut
No,
health,
not at all.
or it's about and it's obvious really when you think about it, but yeah, it hadn't occurred to me in that way. They're interested in the
Yeah.
profit margin. So if that means changing the ingredients, changing the recipe to, if it broadly tastes the same and therefore they can still sell it, great. Let's change the recipe. What that then does to people, like you say, we don't know really until we try it, and we trial and error, and like you say, you suddenly feel a bit off, or and these things creep up on you, those kind of feelings, that kind of bloated feeling, the irritable bowel, those kind of things. And like you say, it's only when you remove something, you go to that whole foods kind of plant-based diet, you suddenly sort of feel like, hold on a minute, things have changed. Why is that? I think it's such a valid point. And really, the only people who can be really responsible for their health is us. It just makes me think we've got to take control of it, ourselves.
Uh,
Less of a question, more of a
yeah,
musing.
yeah, it's more of a statement. Yeah, but yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah.
This is exactly what we stand for. And trying to, you know, it's like my friend said, "Oh, why you bother? Because why you bother? Just sell it or go there, go there. You would probably sell more of your products if you were just concentrating on your sales rather than talking to people." But I says yes, but I don't do it only because I want to achieve a certain amount of sales. Yeah, it would help. Of course, it would help. But if I don't talk to people, then this is not me. And talking to people and educating, just opening their eyes and opening, like you just said, opening the view on different options. That's what people start to think and question, and that's always good, because if you start questioning, more of us questioning things, we finally get to the point where we can ask around, especially up there at the top, says, hey, what are you doing? Why don't you change the laws and say, right, we don't want this, we don't want that chemical or that chemical in our diet on everyday basis? Because, I'm not talking about myself, but I'm talking about kids. It's a generation. If you start
Yeah.
eating this from when you're young, 20 years of abuse, and then you becoming ill, and you got, how is it possible that you've got older generation people, right, remembering more whole foods diet? It's I'm not saying anything. It's just my observation. Then they
Yeah.
have less problems with the gut than young people nowadays, because young people nowadays, they've been since a younger age abused with the chemicals and so on. If you add to it environmental destruction of environment, the pollution and so on and so on, it's just, we're not there. Immune system is lacking, and hence we need to go back to something which is more natural with less fertilizers, and it can be done. It's just, someone needs to, more of us, the better. That's what I think.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's definitely just this conversation has just made me think a little bit more, coming at perhaps with a bit more of a clear mind as to my own, my own nutrition. Am I taking control of it? Am I aware of it? We even in the vegan community, I think, I just like everybody get excited when I see a new, new vegan burger or a new vegan chocolate bar or this, that, and the other. But am I really? If I looked at the back of the label, or do I understand everything that's on it? Am I comfortable with it? And I can't honestly answer that I am at the moment. And it's just this conversation has just made me think, maybe I need to do some more research, take some more
There's a lot
control.
of,
So, I
you
appreciate you
just
for that.
mentioned about, the burgers and processed foods. And this is what I'm struggling with, because, it's easy to get something in a supermarket or shop, or, it's a quick fix. But then I'm kind of a person. I would, no matter what it is, and no matter how hungry I am, I will always look at the ingredients list, because there's a lot of processed in processed foods. There's a lot of sugars, and that's where we're struggling as a whole nation. The number of diabetes patients growing in this country is unbelievable, and even starting with young age. And there was what was it? What's better? A fruit, right? 5 a day. I don't know if you remember, but 10 years ago, 5 a day were 5 fruits. And suddenly, over a few years, we've changed it to let's include vegetables, and that's where, because someone noticed that if I'm good, Mummy will give me chocolates. So I eat 5 apples, let's say, and then I go home and I eat a bar of chocolate. If you count number of calories and sugar, that's actually over the top. But if you eat 3 peppers and 2 carrots, that's less sugar. I might get the bar of chocolate, so it's healthier. It's counting the calories. It's simple maths. So maybe somewhere along the lines, government decided that maybe we swap the five fruits for some veggies as well. So it's slowly over 10 years we got to somewhere. But I think we need more education as such, with all of us, including and questioning ourselves what we're doing, what we do in it, and talking about it like we just talking about, and I talk to different people in different places. I think the awareness is just it's just a matter of time, but we'll get there. We'll get there.
Absolutely. And I think, with the likes of companies like yourself, who have, good principles at their core, who are looking not just to make a great product, but to make a great product that kind of helps people and makes them feel, nostalgic about the honey, but also, great about those raw seeds and so on. It's just the phrase that stuck with me is God's breakfast, and it's made me hungry actually for tomorrow morning's breakfast. I'm thinking seeds, some vegan yogurt, obviously, and some vegan honey would go down really well, actually. So I thank you for that. I appreciate you and your business
fix,
for bringing these kind
Jim,
of things into
it's a quick breakfast to make, and it's sustainable. It's good. Will keep you, with enough plant-based protein in the bowl. It will keep you for hours and hours. So why not? And it's a healthy option.
Love it. Jack, it's been brilliant chatting with you. It'd be great to let people know where they can go about finding out a bit more about Jack Berry, about the vegan honey, perhaps getting hold of some. How would they go about doing that?
You can visit our website, jack-berry.com, or just put jackberry.com or on the Google, in Google, and you find us. You can purchase there. We've got a few retailers, or growing numbers of retailers, bakers coming on board, and we always invite. We're always open to join any businesses, join our a little family, not so little, but a family, yes. And we're trying to help each other, because I always say to small businesses, look, if we don't stand up together, we will be eaten by giants. And I think we're trying to do it on a local scale, slowly with trying to help each other, and the number of participants, I would say, or retailers or small businesses joining us is growing, and I'm glad, because it's, at the end of the day, it's more people sharing the same view and sharing the same passion for healthy eating and healthy, health conscious people, and introducing the whole foods, or reintroducing, I would say, whole foods to our diet. Should be priority number one, especially on the government's list. So you can find us online. You can find us on Facebook. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We're there as well. We quite often will post different recipes, We're trying to travel around the UK. We will be, if you're around Birmingham at the end of November, we'll be on BBC Food Show. It's a biggie, expensive one, but please see us, come and visit, have a chat with me. And yeah, so we'll be there, and any support is more than welcome. So that's where you can find us.
Jack, I love it.
No problem.
Thank
Thank you
you
very
so
much.
much for your time
Appreciate
tonight.
for a chance.
I'll have all the links in the show notes as well. So, folks, if you want to go and click those links to check
Brilliant.
out Jack Berry and buy some wonderful vegan honey, then do that. Thanks so much, Jack.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure.